Sam and Dante relax at the Metro Court pool. Dante heads to the bar to get them some drinks when Sunny stops in looking for Nina. Dante says he hasn't seen her. Sunny gives Dante the news that he and Nina are engaged. Dante is happy and thinks things are looking up for him. Ned appears and Sunny notes, not everything. Sunny excuses himself to talk to Ned. Sunny confronts Ned and accuses him of going after Carly. Ned again insists he had nothing to do with turning Carly and Drew in. As their argument escalates, Dante and Olivia intervene. Ned tells Sunny he gets that he's pissed, but he swears to God that it wasn't him who turned Carly and Drew in. Ned says when he threatened Drew, he was angry, but that's where it ended, and the cues stick together. He also would never hurt Carly as she's Olivia's best friend, and Leah loves her. Sunny points out he still threw in with Valentine, which is why Carly lost half of her hotel. Ned says that's also why he wouldn't kick her while she's down. Olivia tells Sunny that Ned didn't do this. Sunny says because of Olivia this is over, but if he finds out Ned was involved, Olivia says he won't. Olivia and Ned walk off. Dante chastises Sunny for attacking Ned in public and says if something were to happen to Ned, Sunny made himself suspect number one. He asks if his father wants to see both Donna's parents in jail. Sunny refuses to let Carly go to jail, but Dante says she did commit a crime. Sunny insists it wasn't on purpose, but whoever turned her in had an agenda. Sam joins them and says the tip to the SEC was anonymous. Dante feels as if his dad has a suspect in mind other than Ned. Sunny says anyone could be trying to get to Carly or be using Carly to get to him. Meanwhile, Olivia apologizes to Ned for not believing in him earlier. He doesn't blame her as he's let her down before. She says she never should have doubted him and believes he did not do what he's been accused of. They kiss. Jordan stops by Curtis and Portia's place. She tells Curtis, who wasn't expecting her, that his wife told him where she could find him. Jordan asks when he was going to tell her that he moved back home. He says he was actually on his way to find her and tell her. Jordan is angry, hurt, and confused. She reminds him they agreed to wait and figure things out after the kiss, and while she was waiting, he reconciled with his wife. He explains this isn't a reconciliation, just a first step. She wonders if she was just someone to help him sort out his problems, or maybe she misread that kiss. He says she didn't misread anything, and his feelings for her are real. However, he also has feelings for Portia. Jordan says, "I'm out of here." Curtis says he's trying to learn from his mistakes, the ones he made by walking out on their marriage. He needs to put in the hard work on his marriage to Portia, which he didn't do with her. Jordan says that's great news for Portia, but where does it leave her? Curtis doesn't have the answers yet. She thinks given someone who hates dishonesty, shouldn't he be honest with both women in his life? Jordan knows about Trina and thinks Curtis is navigating a lot right now. Perhaps he doesn't need another complication. He tells her she's not a complication, and he just needs more time to figure things out. Jordan says she's been in limbo since their divorce. While he moved on, she threw herself into work. Perhaps she subconsciously was holding out hope. Curtis explains he needs to find out where he stands with Portia, and where he stands with her. Jordan says she knows where she stands, she must let go of him. She says it's been 2 years she's been living in limbo, refuses to wait a minute more, and walks out on Curtis. At the bank, Trina and Spencer are brought the safe deposit box. Spencer thinks they could still walk away, but Trina feels he should know what this box is protecting his family from. Spencer opens the box and discovers a tablet, but it's out of power. Trina is prepared as she's never without her charger. She plugs it in, and Spencer opens an envelope that's also in the box, which contains a receipt. It's a prescription filled by Esm for the same drug that almost killed Oz. Trina realizes it's also what likely was used on her that night at the cabin. Trina finally has proof Esm violated her. Spencer admits he found the pills in Esm's belongings, but he had no proof she procured them. Trina notes, "Until now." Also in the envelope is a letter from Esm to her nanny Maddie. It's a confession that she was in trouble and drugged Oz to try and get away from him and unintentionally hurt him. Trina fumes it's just like Esm to slant it to make her look like the victim. They turn to the charged tablet on, which contains stills of Esm on the docks with the bartender buying the burner foam from him. Trina can't believe all this evidence fell into their hands, and Esm wasn't able to cover her tracks as well as they thought. Trina thinks they should take this to the PCPD so Spencer can finally get custody of his brother. Ava stops by GH to speak to Austin. They head to his office, where Ava tells him that Laura believes Nicholas is hiding at a property in Chechnya, and they have to stop her from going there because it's too dangerous. Austin says she can't say anything to Laura without raising suspicion. Ava refuses to get any more blood on her hands, especially not Laura's. Austin says it's probably not easy for Laura to get into, and then out of Chechnya. He thinks it will take time to plan it, which gives them time to figure out how to stop her. Their talk turns to Mason, who neither one has heard from. Ava hopes perhaps he's given up on them. Mason appears on cue and assures them he's not given up on them. Mason says he's been out of town, but still keeping tabs on them. Mason reminds them that he could still go to the PCPD with what he knows, so it's time for both of them to show him some appreciation. Austin tells Mason to just tell them what he wants. Austin has a job for them, specifically Ava. He says they need her to work her specific connections. Ava asks who they are and what connections. Does he need some art? Mason says it's not her art, it's her family they are interested in. Michael stops by Carly's and she asks what brings him by. Carly sees something is bothering Michael and hopes it's not bad news. Michael says Willow is fine, but like all of them, she's worried about the situation Carly's in. Carly says this is her problem and she doesn't want him and Joss fighting over it. This is her decision to make, and she is not going to sell Sonny out, even though he offered to give her something he could defend himself against. Michael asks, what if there was something Sonny couldn't defend himself against? Carly again refuses to sacrifice Sonny to save herself. Michael offers to do it for her. Michael shows Carly a flash drive with proof that Sonny violated the National Security Act. She asks what is on it. He says it's video footage of Sonny exporting a dangerous weapon. Carly asks how he got this evidence. Michael admits he commissioned it. She tells him he can't use it as it would destroy the family. He reveals Willow convinced him not to do so for the same reason. However, this is the one thing that could stand between her and going to prison. Carly refuses to use the evidence and says it can never see the light of day. She asks who else knows about this. Joss and Dex go to his place, and she asks him to email her the video of Sonny taking the shipment from Pikeman. Dex reveals he doesn't have it. He explains he gave the only copy to Michael, as it is his property. Joss can't believe he risked his life for this video and didn't keep a copy for insurance. He says that's not how he works, and that he was hired to do a job for Michael. He says even if he had a copy, he couldn't give it to her. He wouldn't want to make her a part of any of this. Dex is sorry he can't help Joss save her mom, but Joss says this isn't his fault. She says this is her family's mess, and she needs to find a way to help her mom. They think about how messy and complicated things have gotten so fast. Dex thinks maybe he should have left town as Michael told him to, but Joss reminds her that she was set to go with him. He says he knows, and that terrified him. Dex says she's gone to lengths for him that nobody else ever has. He calls her special, a once-in-a-lifetime person, and the thought of losing her scares him. He says he's in love with her and asks if this is too much for her. She responds by pulling him into a kiss.